as amended passed.
Members' motion with no legislative effect. Mr. Jimmy NG will move a motion on fully implementing policies for attracting enterprises and investment. 3 members will move amendments to the motion. This council will proceed to a joint debate on the motion and the amendments. Later, I will first call upon Mr. Jimmy NG to speak and move the motion. Then I will call upon Mr. Edmund WONG, Mr. Hailong, and Mr. Chun-keung to speak in sequence, but they may not move amendments at this stage. The joint debate now begins. Members who wish to speak, please press the Request to Speak button. I now call upon Mr. Jimmy NG to speak and move the motion. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the motion as printed on the agenda be passed. Hong Kong has advantages in terms of commerce, finance and trading, and we are an international center. We have seen the ups and downs of our development, and we still take the lead. That shows that we have inherent advantages. We're at a critical point unseen in the century. Not to mention the trough, we're coming back from the 3-year epidemic. We should now map our way forward, and I think that what is in front of us is for us to attract businesses and enterprises to bring vibrancy to our economy. After improving the electoral system in the Hong Kong SAR, the Patriots Administering Hong Kong principle has been implemented in Hong Kong, and the central authorities has overall jurisdiction over the SAR. When we attract enterprises and investment, we should also have regard to the state policies. I'm going to discuss and express my view on the 3 dimensions. First, on dovetailing with state policies. In the 2 sessions, the government work report of the State Council clearly expresses the need to attract foreign investment. Last year, President Xi also made an important direction in the economic meeting of the country. In other words, we should attract quality foreign investment in order to boost the quality of collaboration with foreign investors. We need to, for example, improve market access, and we also need to work on attracting foreign investment. According to the government's work report, we should step up our effort in attracting foreign investment and businesses to help them gain market access. In other words, there is a combination of facilitation measures to promote foreign investment in the country. In order to integrate into the overall development plan of the country, Hong Kong should dovetail its policies with the states. First of all, the Chief Executive Policy Units, research institutions, think tanks in the community should also have a clear grasp of the government's work report and other important documents of the country. In the mainland offices and the ETOs, they should be tasked with the role of disseminating information so that we can tap the pulse of the business circle and express the views. RTHK, which is a public broadcaster, should play its role in stepping up publicity and tell good stories of attracting foreign investments. Now, Mr. John Lee sets a good example. Soon after the closing of the 2 sessions, in 7 days, he met with 11 ministries and institutions. In the face of mudslinging against one country, 2 systems and unfounded accusations by foreign forces, there is a need for us to fight back at this diplomatic level. I hope that a regular channel can be set up for more collaboration with the mainland so as to address issues relating to attracting foreign investment. The second dimension is to go global. Hong Kong is the gateway for the mainland enterprises. There is a lot of potential for us. There is room for us to sign international treaties and agreements. For example, the business sector always advocates Hong Kong's accession to RCEP so that we can form alliances with Asian countries. I understand that among the 12 ETOs, there are vacancies in 5 of them. For New York the New York ETO, there are 2 vacancies, including the head and the deputy head of the offices. These vacancies should be filled as quickly as possible. We need to conduct surveys in order to know about public opinion. According to our country, we should find ways to address the 12 major issues. For example, we need to grasp the major bottlenecks and issues facing us in attracting foreign enterprises and businesses. We need to understand foreign investors' concerns. And the next Hong Kong Business Environment Report should take a more targeted approach. We should make it easy for foreign investors to understand. That means, apart from English, we should also prepare the report in Arabic, in Russian, and other languages to explain our advantages to the world. Mr. Jeffrey Lam recently set up a Hong Kong group of ambassadors to tell good stories of Hong Kong along with business elites in the circle. Now, there are also top-tier banks in Hong Kong recently rolling out the following services. Now, regardless of whether a foreign passport holder is physically present in Hong Kong, he will be able to open an account remotely so that he can open an account in just 10 minutes instead of having to wait for 2 weeks. These are facilitation measures that can greatly benefit those who would like to come and settle in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, the government has set up a new group to leverage on the advantages of Hong Kong, comprising members from different sectors of the community. I'd like to share with you what Premier Li Qiang said. We need to tap the wisdom in the community. We can't just sit in offices. If we want to find solutions to problems, we need to walk the extra mile so as to attract businesses to come to Hong Kong. The third dimension is that we should dovetail with the business sector. I understand that the ITI Bureau has made a lot of effort. Professor Sun Dong, at a recent panel meeting, explained in great detail the $10 billion raise plus scheme so as to give a boost to the R&D sector. Now, through the government's matching subsidy scheme, I'm sure we'll be able to attract foreign capital to Hong Kong so as to attract more unicorn companies to Hong Kong. The R&D outcome is an invaluable asset to Hong Kong. We should avoid the research outcomes being taken away. We need to attract foreign capital, and we need to retain R&D talents so as to create a bigger value for the I&T industry in Hong Kong. Now, there are also so-called high-tech embargoes, leading to problems importing high-tech chips and other equipment. The government should remove obstacles for the industry. Apart from attracting businesses and dovetailing with our industries, we should also offer tax concessions. In many places, such tax breaks are provided. In Germany, Australia, for example, there are tax breaks. In the UK, through a trust, tax concessions are also provided for investors. In the case of business failure of other enterprises, the tax concessions originally offered can be carried over to the next enterprise. I'd also like to have the view of the FSTB on any of these tax concessionary measures. A few days ago, at a high-level summit, the NDRC commissioner said the following: if you walk with China, you are walking with opportunities. If you invest in China, you're investing in the future. that resonates in the mind of investors. Hong Kong is one of the 4 Asian tigers, and we are also an international financial center. We have the strong backing of the country, and we also successfully attract enterprises to the mainland and Hong Kong.
And I'll propose the question to you that Jimmy Ng's motion be passed. Members, if you would like to speak in this motion, please press the request to speak button so that I can make arrangements. Mr. Edmund Wong, with the support of central authorities and the work of our government, we have recovered from the epidemic as well as the social turmoil. We've always enjoyed wide international network. With these measures to attract enterprises and talents, we will be able to benefit in our process to transform and upgrade. At the same time, we are faced with deep-seated challenges, and there is a challenging situation externally. We do need the support. In the past, government departments, say for example, Invest Hong Kong, the Trade Development Council, as well as economic and trade offices outside have done their work, but they all have a silo mentality. There is little coordination or cooperation. This is not conducive to our effectiveness in attracting enterprises and investment. There should be better coordination. There should be better communication amongst these departments and bureaus so that their work can be more efficient and effective. The structure should be streamlined to avoid duplicity of efforts. On the face of it, attracting enterprises and investment is about financial services, but it's about the Hong Kong brand as well as lives in Hong Kong. We can't just rely on the financial services department and bureau to do the work. That's why I said in an amendment that we should take a macro view. All policy bureau and departments should be instructed to actively participate in the work and to avoid fragmented administration. Well, in the policy address, there is a KPI, that is 2023 to 2025, there will be at least 1,130 enterprises will be asked to come to Hong Kong, bringing about at least $77 billion direct investment, creating about 15,000 jobs. These are very clear KPIs. We see that this is a huge improvement. But attracting enterprises and investment is a huge project to be taken up by different departments and bureaus. Under the umbrella KPI, will there be detailed KPIs in the different departments? So far, we have not seen anything yet. Let me use an example of an ETO to tell you about the inadequacies. The KPI of ETO does not cover the regional KPI. Say, for example, the one in Jakarta, it covers Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. But there is only one umbrella KPI. There is not a breakdown for individual countries. As a result, work is focused too much on a certain region or country. Another example is KPI that focus on the process instead of the result. Say there is an external trade indicator. They look at the participation in seminar talks and the number of press releases promulgated. There is no mention about the result. There is a chance that there is a lot of work done, but public resources have gone down the drain. It's just going through the motion. These are just examples. I ask the government to look at KPIs of different bureaus and departments in their work of attracting enterprises and investment. Mr. Hailong. Thank you. We resume normalcy now. We should not just do it in our everyday life. We should also use it in businesses as well. Attracting enterprises and investment is a very important part. I thank Mr. Ng for moving the motion, and I also thank the other two amenders. Mr. Ng's original motion has, on a macro basis, set out development of industries. I just want to put icing on the cake. First, in relation to strategic enterprises and talents, there should be a special policy package to explore facilitation measures of flow of scientific research, resources, capital, etc. Well, the entry point can be the capital entrance scheme. If you make innovation and technology a key area, then we can leverage on our edge by asking capital to come in so that we can have further development in innovation and technology. Well, combining capital with the entrance scheme, I think there are several folds. First, in terms of investment, there is a higher risk. We have innovation and technology. We have reindustrialization. Under the policy, we can require enterprises to have at least 2 years of experience with at least 10 staff members. An assessment should be made by the Innovation and Technology Commission. When the initial risk is controlled, that means that we can screen out poor quality applicants. And the investment should be tied in for at least 7 years. And of course, enterprises and investors would like to see a better return. They will move in the favorable direction. And they will make use of social resources and other resources to speed up their expansion. I think, well, the entrance scheme itself is very attractive. There are about 10,000 applicants. I think they will bring in stable investments to Hong Kong. With appropriate matching, we can match different elements, say, for example, innovation, technology, startup. I asked the government to make plans of manpower training. It should go along the direction of selection, retention, cultivation, and deployment so that we can retain local talents and attract talents from abroad. We should go along the right direction. We need to make use of different avenues to attract top quality talents to come to Hong Kong. And we need to have an accelerator by providing support to enterprises and manpower. Is not limited to training courses, etc. When it comes to cultivation, we're talking about nurturing talents. It's just like that Raise Plus scheme, that is $10 billion. The scheme indeed can provide more resources to universities and research centers. This ensures quality and quantity. I think for details, the government would need to talk to stakeholders and legislators. Lastly, deployment. The government should have favorable policies. Say, policies will have to procure at least 4 items that is locally researched and developed. On top of that, we can ensure commercialization of local research products, and there will be an environment for them to grow. We'll be able to turn it into our GDP. We need to focus on development of innovation and technology and to attract overseas enterprises and manpower and turn Hong Kong into an international I&T hub and a dual circulation between the financial center and the IT hub. Mr. Lee Chun-keung, Presidency talked about several points in the CPC and CPPCC and the NPC. Whether it's state enterprises or local enterprises, they all have a part to play. Whether it's micro or SMEs, they have made contributions to prosperity of a country. In the policy address, the CE announced the setting up of the OASIS, that is, Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises to enhance our competitiveness. For this office, they will try to attract life health, AI, data science, new energy enterprises to come to Hong Kong. There are also targeted support measures to provide one-stop service, say for example, visa application, education for their children. The Liberal Party strongly welcomes that. We think that the government has finally thought out of the box and be active in their approach. We're glad that the FS accepted our suggestion by introducing the capital investment entrance scheme. I'm sure that the scheme will attract more manpower and capital to come to Hong Kong. But as I said in my amendment, well, whilst attracting capital and strategic enterprises, they should not forget about the room for growth for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Because of the epidemic, a lot of them have closed. The surviving ones are in a plight. They are in urgent need of government support. If there are many enterprises coming to Hong Kong, if micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises want to reopen again, they may face with a manpower shortage. This is about demand and supply. There is an exodus of workforce and a low fertility rate. In 2021, about 37,000 babies have been born, which is a new record low in 30 years. So apart from competing for high-quality talent, we should not forget about talents of other skill levels and those of different sectors. There is a mismatch of manpower. We have vacancies, we have unemployment. In one of the oral questions, 3 Liberal Party members have spoken to tell the government that there is serious manpower shortage in Hong Kong. Apart from the construction industry, others, say for example, retail, travel, logistics, F&B, there is an acute manpower shortage. The development of these industries are in a bottleneck. There are a lot of trades and companies that are fighting to recruit, but for micro and SMEs, they don't have the fund or the means to offer a better wage. If they offer a higher wage, then they will have to transfer the additional cost inevitably to customers. In the end, it will be the general public that suffer. So whilst attracting strategic enterprises, the government should provide targeted support to micro SMEs. The government should set up a manpower data bank so that they will be in a position to know what's happening. Hong Kong is part of the GBA. The government should talk to other cities in the GBA, and there should be the deployment of manpower in the Greater Bay Area, and there should be mutual recognition of qualification. In appropriate ways, there should be importation of labor, and there should be measures to promote a flow of manpower. There should not be vicious competition. We should all work together to promote flow of capital, information, manpower, so that we can all work together for the development of our country. I so submit, I ask for your support.
Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, first of all, I thank Mr. Jimmy NG for moving today's motion, and Mr. Lee Chun-keung, Edmund WONG, and Hailong for moving the amendments. This gave us a chance to listen to members' views and suggestions on attracting enterprises and investments. President, this government attaches much importance to its work on attracting enterprises and investment. In his policy address delivered in last October, the Chief Executive proposed to establish a new institutional framework for attracting enterprises and investments. New measures were also rolled out to enhance our attractiveness. Since their promulgation, government bureaus and departments have been working tirelessly to implement the measures in full to draw businesses and investment. With me today are the Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry, the Undersecretary for Financial Services and the Treasury, as well as the Undersecretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs. On attracting strategic enterprises, the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises, that is the OASIS, was established in last December. The OASIS, led by the Financial Secretary, specializes in offering special facilitation measures and one-stop services to overseas and mainland strategic enterprises. So far, policy bureaus and the OASIS have met with over 100 enterprises. Upon its establishment, the OASIS immediately kick-started work and reached out to enterprises and organizations from industries of key strategic value, including life and health technology, AI and data science, financial technology, advanced manufacturing, and new energy. So far, the policy bureaus and the OASIS have met with over 100 enterprises, many of which being industry leaders in possession of state-of-the-art technologies. The OASIS will continue to negotiate with strategic enterprises and launch publicity campaigns in overseas and mainland markets so as to promote our policy measures for attracting enterprises and investment and entice strategic enterprises to set up shop and expand their business in Hong Kong. Dedicated teams for attracting businesses and talents were established under the 17 mainland offices and ETOs. The dedicated teams will proactively reach out to target enterprises and encourage them to establish presence in Hong Kong. They dovetail with the OASIS by actively contacting target strategic enterprises in the world, initiating a dialogue and passing on the context to the OASIS for further follow-up work. The dedicated teams would also conduct researches on specific strategic industries and enterprises upon request by the OASIS, and arrange for principal officials to visit the enterprises in person. This is in line with the government's goals to step up investment promotion and to attract and assist strategic enterprises to establish presence or expand businesses in Hong Kong as soon as possible. Also, the Advisory Committee on Attracting Strategic Enterprises has convened its first meeting since its establishment in February. The committee comprises leaders in the relevant sectors and society as a whole, and advises the Financial Secretary on the overall strategy to attract strategic enterprises and investments. At its first meeting, members discussed the upcoming work plan and priorities in attracting strategic enterprises, including strategic areas, scale of enterprises, talents, and other policy support, as well as promotion strategies. Members emphasized the need to leverage on the many opportunities of the mainland, especially the market size and other advantages of the GBA during investment promotion. Policy bureaus and the OASIS will be working closely with all members through regular meetings to ensure that our efforts on attracting strategic enterprises are focused, efficient, and effective. Besides the above measures for attracting strategic enterprises, starting from year 2022 and 23, the government has been increasing in phases the recurrent funding for Invest Hong Kong by $90 million. The new recurrent funding enables Invest Hong Kong to adopt a more aggressive and forward-looking promotional strategy in major target markets in the world, especially in the Middle East, Asian member states, and other emerging markets. It also enables Invest Hong Kong to step up investment promotion overseas and in the mainland, engage consultants to explore developing markets like Africa and Middle Asia, and enhance investment promotion in target industries like innovation and technology, financial services, and fintech. Besides, Invest Hong Kong will host a cocktail party in June to welcome overseas and mainland enterprises newly moved to Hong Kong. Mega events like Start Me Up Hong Kong and the Hong Kong FinTech Week will also take place in the second half of the year for attracting enterprises from various industries to come to Hong Kong. President, I will listen to members' views and make a detailed reply subsequently. Officials from the relevant bureaus will also reply to matters under their purviews. Thank you, President. I so submit.
Mr. Chairman Kwong. In December, Presidency in a work meeting emphasized that we have to do more to attract overseas investment. With a volatile external environment, I'm happy to see that the government has stopped resting on their laurel. They have set up the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises, the dedicated team for attracting businesses and talents, as well as the co-investment fund. But the external environment faced by our strategic industry or high-quality industries is very different. We have a sharp drop in export. There is a problem with our structure of our export. We need high quality advanced manufacturing industry. So when it comes to competing for talents and as well as attracting enterprises, we need more effort. That's why I support Mr. Ng's motion. In terms of attracting enterprises, manpower, to make breakthrough of industries, we have to draw reference from Singapore. They have merged their own advantage with the external environment. They take the initiative to invite enterprises to go to Singapore. That's a regular work. Within a very short time, new industries flourish. We need to focus on industries with great potential, ones that Hong Kong enjoys an advantage so that we can have a cluster effect. Oasis is in charge of attracting strategic enterprises with potential. They focus on life and health, AI, as well as data science. They compile a list and go to talk to these enterprises. Relevant policy bureaus should put in place a structure, say through the CE's policy unit. They may engage think tanks in the community to conduct a tracking survey. They may make use of the 5 mainland offices and the 14 ETOs to group together sector leaders for field trips. In terms of the legal environment, barriers should be removed. Stumbling blocks should be removed. If we are to develop the northern metropolis, if we are to resolve the problem of imbalanced development, we will be able to attract more investment. We should take the opportunity to re-engineer our policies. In the different functional areas of the northern metropolis, we can ask renowned personalities, especially influencers in the business sectors, to tell good stories of Hong Kong, to tell the world about our opportunities. Government should make plans for different industries. They should put in place mechanisms to speed up commercialization of R&D projects. We should build ourselves into a knowledge-based economy. At the same time, we need to promote development of other industries so that we can merge innovation and technology with industry developments. We need to promote local employment. Manpower policy is also important given our acute manpower shortage. Currently, we have the Top Talent Pass scheme. Well, they only accept qualification of undergraduates but not postgraduate. That is rather bizarre. The government should not keep the straitjacket on. We need modern manpower policy so that we can be more effective in our effort. Mr. Chen Xiu-hong, I speak to support Mr. Jimmy Ng's original motion and the amendments of other members. In the 14th NPC meeting, President Xi talked about building a modern country. They need the prosperity of Hong Kong and Macau. There are a lot of strategic industries that play an important role. We need to realize that there is still a gap between our level and the level of Western countries. Last year, the US imposed prohibitions on their companies to sell high-quality chips to China. These parts are very important to generative AI. I'm sure that you know about its importance from ChatGPT. According to the press, these chips will have to be lowered in their specifications before they are allowed to be exported. And this hinders the progress of our country. We need to leverage on our advantage. We should attract enterprises and technology to help our country to become a modern, strong country. When we attract enterprises and investment, we need to preserve the competitiveness of local businesses. A more competitive environment will create difficulties for these enterprises. As someone said, well, support should be given to micro SMEs so that local enterprises can transform, upgrade, and align with the international arena. At the same time, we should go global. The chief executive paid a visit to Middle Eastern countries to create job opportunities. This is the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative. We need to seize the opportunity. We should play into our role as the international financial center to attract enterprises of infrastructural projects in the Belt and Road Initiative to come to Hong Kong so that there will be a pool of Belt and Road pool. In the original motion, it talks about launching conducive measures on tax, financing, land, education. I support that. In the past, there was a laissez-faire mentality of the government that's out of date. When countries provide measures to compete for enterprises and manpower, we should not think that everyone knows how good we are. The chief executive said in the policy that in the coming 5 years there will be 100 companies asked to come to Hong Kong. And the Innovation, Technology and Industry Bureau launched the Raise Plus scheme to assist in commercialization of research projects. Apart from subsidy by the government, we need to create a market force. Under the one country, two systems, we have the support of our country. We are also well connected to the rest of the world. But when it comes to three different structures, that is, the different structures in Hong Kong, Macau, Mainland, and the different flow of capital, manpower, etc., we need to do more work. The government should make good use of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park as well as the Northern Metropolis. We need to enhance our coordination and integration. we need to have complementary development. We should turn challenges into advantages before we can retain enterprises. When there is a good environment for our manpower, then our industries will flourish. Thank you. Mr. Chun-keung. This is the starting year of modernization of our country. In the work report of our country, it's pointed out that one of the key areas is to step up our effort to attract enterprises and investment. In Singapore and other places, they introduced capital technology, they put in place cooperation, they have enhanced the use of resources to benefit the country. With the opening up and reform of our country, when it comes to the Chun-keung River Delta and some other areas, there has been rapid development. I thank Mr. Ng for moving the motion. The government is urged to put in place policies to attract enterprises and investment. There should be measures covering land tax, financing and education to increase the impetus for growth and our long-term competitiveness. When it comes to attracting enterprises, it means that the government should use available resources to create the best environment to attract investors to come to Hong Kong. For the mainland, an effective measure is to provide preferential treatment to enterprises, say for example, tax or pricing. Investors that are price sensitive will see the attraction. There should be also various fairs, talks, seminars, sale, exhibition. These create opportunities for business and negotiations. At the same time, it will promote the advantage of the place. Well, in relation to targeted places, targeted clients have been identified for their effort to attract them to go to the mainland. We have the support of the mainland. We also have connection with the rest of the world. We have the 14th Five-Year Plan. We have the Belt and Road Initiative. There are plenty of opportunities. But we're at different development stage, and we have different advantages from the mainland. Investors have different considerations. This is a new situation, and there is a complicated geopolitical situation. There is keener competition. The chief executive said in the policy address that we should step up our effort to compete enterprises and manpower. As a result, he set up the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises, Talent Service Unit, a dedicated team for attracting businesses and talents. But there are various facilitation measures to attract these entities in the rest of the world. If we use conventional ways by providing tax concession, rent waiver, financing options, and assistance to develop emerging markets, I'm sure that is far from adequate. With the government's effort to attract family offices to come to Hong Kong, it seems that they have now followed a new line of thinking. Apart from tax concessions, they also make use of different ways, say environmental protection to attract them to come to Hong Kong. This is the right way. Our country said that we should move along high-quality development, and this is our key mission. Regarding attracting targeted enterprises to come to Hong Kong, they should make reference of the family office. They should provide tailor-made measures, say technology support for life and AI, and innovation and creativity. There should be other measures as well. So apart from tax and financing, they should also provide facilitating measures on good, high-quality living environment here so that their work will be more effective. I'll support Mr. Ng's original motion and the amendments. Thank you.
You.
Mr. Duncan Chiu. Thank you, President. Before I speak, I declare that I am a member of the Advisory Council on Attracting Enterprises. This advisory committee will advise the Financial Secretary on the overall strategy to attract enterprises. First of all, I thank Mr. Jimmy NG for moving this motion on fully implementing policies for attracting enterprises and investments, and the amendments moved by the 3 members so that we can discuss the policy. Now, on the 15th of May 2022, as the Council meeting, I moved a motion on setting an industrial blueprint to promote I&T developments in Hong Kong. There are many ideas on attracting enterprises and investments in my proposal, including increasing massively funding resources for I&T development, as well as promotional campaign to attract high and medium-end technological companies from the world, and also enhancing I&T and R&D expenditure in our GDP, and also attracting major laboratories and researchers to set up shop in Hong Kong. And also, I advise the government to formulate dedicated policies to attract talents, as well as a talents database in Hong Kong. Talents will be attracted to stay in Hong Kong if they see opportunities. This will also bring in capitals into our local I&T sector. It will form a positive cycle of the I&T ecosystem. I'm happy to see a number of measures rolled out. The Top Talents Pass scheme has attracted more than 10,000 talents to Hong Kong. So I hope the government can speed up the development of a talents database, and also the Top Talents Pass scheme should be opened to players in the strategic industries to open up the talent pool for these investors. Now, the 2 sessions mentioned that the top mission is to build China into a modern, strong country. Now, in the post-pandemic era, Hong Kong has integrated comprehensively into the national development. Now, with the GBA and Hong Kong and Macau's innovative power, we can drive economic developments locally, and also we can contribute to the country's bid to become a strong country with technological self-reliance. Now, cross-departmental and comprehensive strategies for attracting enterprises is crucial. Now, technology is important. We have to enhance the upstream innovative capacity. Last year, the government has announced the I&T development blueprints. The implementation progress of the blueprints would affect Hong Kong as well as the GBA's long-term development. The latest budget has mentioned the establishment of the feasibility study for an AI supercomputing center. I am pleased to see the government taking on board the sector's idea. Now, plus the emergence of the I&T economy, the supercomputing center will help boosting the confidence of foreign investors. I suggest the government making use of the Northern Metropolis and build the AI supercomputing center in the Northern Metropolis. This will create a clustering effect and attract foreign enterprises to set up base in Hong Kong. And through public-private partnership, as the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovative Park as the River Loop area, the Hong Kong and the Shenzhen governments can build a massive data center with the support of the Hong Kong and Shenzhen electricity companies. This will enhance our competitiveness in terms of digital infrastructure and competitiveness. Now, I'm pleased to see the government publishing the manifesto on developing family offices business in Hong Kong. I'm also happy about the capital investment entrance scheme. Capital investors can, by investing in relevant I&T companies and funds, to gain residence in Hong Kong. This will promote high-quality developments in Hong Kong. Now, last week, the HAEX has promulgated the listing regime for special technology companies. The threshold has been lowered. I'm very confident about foreign investors and major I&T companies moving to Hong Kong. I hope with more promotional campaign, the next wave of influx will come. So I shall submit. Thank you. Mr. Kenneth Lau. President, I speak in support of Mr. Jimmy Ng's and the other members' views. Now, with the successful conclusion of the 2 sessions, according to the work reports of the first session, it mentions the government will continue to attract foreign investment and will better utilize foreign investment. Attracting enterprises and investments will be the main theme of the country's development. Now, in February, President Xi's speech as the Central Financial Work Committee has been published on a magazine. He mentioned high-quality opening up to the world and also riding on the advantage of the gigantic domestic market. Foreign investments will be attracted to the country, and quality investments will be invited to stay. This will enhance the quality of collaboration between trade and investment. Now, specific measures include expanding the eligibility for market access, enhancements of the business environment, and also support measures for foreign investments. I think President Xi's viewpoints are very forward-looking. Looking at the world, developed and developing countries all rely on foreign investments as economic drivers. Now, competition is intense. The Singaporean Economic Development Office invites foreign investments from all over the world every year, and there are remarkable results. Now, the Guangdong provincial government has published measures to attract high-quality enterprises and investments. It mentioned 20 deepening measures to better support foreign investment. It gives priority to the work on attracting enterprises and investments. Specific measures include more support and also more investments from the I&T field, and also financial reward for successful foreign investment projects. And also foreign investors which set up headquarters in the mainland will be rewarded. I think we can draw reference from this. According to the CNSD, there are 1,411 foreign companies using Hong Kong as the regional headquarters, a decrease of 8% compared with last year. And also, some enterprises have plans to cease operation in Hong Kong or move away to other places. The brain drain is heavy. Now, with the establishment of the Oasis and the dedicated teams for attracting businesses and talents, the government will take active actions to entice enterprises to come. Earlier on, Mr. John Lee has visited the Middle East, and 13 agreements and memorandums were signed. This is a good start. Now, with President Xi's direction, I think the Hong Kong SAR government can be even more aggressive in terms of attracting foreign investments to Hong Kong. I suggest the government comprehensively review the current taxation system and make our taxation policies for certain industries more preferable. And also there should be a more expeditious accession to the RCEP. And also we should sign more agreements on the avoidance of double taxation with more jurisdictions. Now, the central government gave us free support. First, support us to integrate into the national development blueprints, and also support us to address livelihood issues, and also support us to enhance our international competitiveness. With the staunch support of the central government, the government in Hong Kong should play a more active role in collaborating with other mainland cities to hold summits and also trade fairs to entice businesses from the world. And also we should give full play to the GBA development and tap into the international markets with other GBA cities to play our dual role as a facilitator and a participator. Thank you. Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you, President. I thank Mr. Jimmy Ng for moving this motion. With the orderly relaxation of anti-epidemic measure and the resumption of cross-boundary travel, people's life and economic activities are returning to normalcy. To inject vibrancy into our economic activities, in last year's policy address, the Oasis was proposed, and also through the ETO's dedicated teams for attracting businesses and talents, mainland and overseas key enterprises would be attracted to Hong Kong. Now, in last month, the latest budget announced a new registration system for overseas companies for domiciliation in Hong Kong. It shows the government's commitments to attract foreign businesses. And also many mainland provinces and municipals have been hosting activities to attract investments in Hong Kong. It shows that different sectors are ready to embrace the recovery. Now, Hong Kong, as a major engine in the GBA, must be aware of our advantages and disadvantages. Under the National 14th Five-Year Plan, we have the new 8 positions. Now, there should be more headroom for closer collaboration with the national developments and achieve mutual beneficial results. Over the past year, the government has established the Oasis and the dedicated teams. This is a new institutional framework, and also with the efforts of Invest Hong Kong and also the ETOs and so on. There may be instances where these bodies are working independently instead of collaborating. So maybe there can be better coordination among these bodies to attract investments so that potential investors can receive a one-stop service. It can reduce the time required for, say, applying for licenses and so on. The government can consider offering clear instructions or directions in terms of licensing requirements and also departments to at the window to deal with the applications and streamline the vetting procedures so that a more facilitating environment will be offered to foreign investors. Now, also, financing options should be offered to foreign investors. We have to be attractive to foreign investors and strategic enterprises. The key is to establish a close link between scientific research and our financial system. There should be targeted arrangements linking financing options with research results. In the mainland, no matter the size or the origin of I&T companies, there would be preferential tax rates and subsidies offered by the government. And also there would be inclusive taxation, favorable taxation treatments. For example, preferential treatment linked to research results and also tax rebates. Over the past year, the government has launched many eye-catching measures to attract enterprises. The government acts very swiftly, and the response was very positive. Now, we have to make sure that the measures are implemented smoothly. Say, for example, family office. Now, we have been very aggressive in attracting family offices to Hong Kong. According to the sector, we need tailor-made packages to attract these family offices rather than using the general packages. So we have to communicate with them to bring in these growth impetus. So I hope we can work harder on that. Thank you.
Mr. Rock Chen. Madam Deputy, I speak in support of Mr. Ng's motion on fully implementing policies for attracting enterprises and investments. There is keen competition for enterprises, manpower, and investment. Our advantage is that we have the support of our country and we're connected to the world. We ranked 4th in the financial indicators, and our universities are in the top 100 universities. Our positioning is the International Financial Center and International Innovation and Technology Center. We have an advantage. To promote industry development, the government make use of the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises and dedicated team for attracting businesses and talents to attract high-quality enterprises to come to Hong Kong. We should also draw reference from other countries on the mainland. Let me give you an example. Our country, in order to attract Tesla to domicile in Hong Kong, they have relaxed the restrictions on capital holding. They allow foreign companies to hold capital and set up plants, and they do not restrict technology transfer by overseas companies. There was also tailor-made services provided. In 2018, Tesla built a super factory on the mainland. I have these suggestions. First, the government should make use of our unique advantage. We should be on the offensive. In Middle East, ASEAN, and Belt and Road countries, we should tell our good stories. In relation to life and health, technology, AI, fintech, new energy, advanced manufacturing, we should target enterprises and provide tailor-made services. There should be one-on-one or one-to-one negotiations. There should be dedicated training courses for these enterprises to enhance their competitiveness. This is a way to attract them to come here. We don't have land. That's a well-known fact. So we do need a timetable for allocation of land to boost our impetus for development. Apart from making good use of existing land, we should better plan the land use of the northern metropolis. Some should be earmarked as land for industry, for innovation and technology. We make use of rent waiver, reduction, tax concession, tax reduction to attract enterprises to come to Hong Kong. We should be a connector. We leverage on the high-quality industry chain of the GBA. We can be a bridge between our country and the world. We can provide a springboard and entry point for overseas companies. We can assist our foreign investment companies to develop their businesses in mainland cities and to avoid a silo mentality of departments. The government should set up a unit led by secretaries of department or deputy secretary of department to lead bureaus and departments to take on work relating to attracting enterprises and investment. In this way, time can be saved and the process can be streamlined. We need to attract enterprises and investment to boost our impetus for growth. We need to also make greater contribution to national development. I support the motion and the amendments. Mr. So Chun-keung. Madam Deputy, the CNSD announced that compared to pre-epidemic period in 2022, for regional headquarters and regional offices, the number has dropped by 8.44% and 3.31%. For professional, commercial, and education services, they suffer the most, and that is 12.46%. In terms of import-export, retail, financial services, there is a drop of 6.27% and 0.83%. That's why we need to step up our efforts to attract enterprises and investment. I agree with Mr. Ng's motion and the amendments. I think that to improve our business environment, to have innovative measures, and to boost the confidence of overseas investors and enterprises is a good way. It is we have an urgent need to boost our impetus for growth. There is a high rental level in Hong Kong. These are disadvantages. We need to make use of policy and resources. We need to find ways to reduce operating costs for these enterprises. We need to provide more incentive for them to come. If they come to Hong Kong, then we can achieve a clustering effect. We also need to make use of efficient government and effective market forces. We need to put in place a plan. In relation to strategic industries, social capital projects are good opportunities. We should make them known to attract investment. I suggest that there should be for the 30 billion co-investment fund, there should be clear investment strategies and plans put in place. The government should take the lead to guide investments. They need to take into account the needs of different industries when compiling targeted enterprises. They should use innovative measures by attracting leading enterprises to come to Hong Kong. They need to make use of new development areas, say the Kaitao Artificial Islands, as well as the Northern Metropolis. Comprehensive concessionary measures should be launched. Say, for example, the joint venture capital amount, financing amount can be tax-free. Well, they can merge with enterprises and industries with great potential. Cooperation with mainland cities, especially those in the GBA, should be enhanced. The functions of mainland offices should be enhanced. Liaison with ASEAN partners should be strengthened. There should be mutual access of data. Resources of the different units to attract enterprises should be combined. There should be supplementary work effort. I so submit. Thank you. Mr. NG. Madam Deputy, I would like to thank Mr. Ng for moving the motion. Well, we need to, with resumption of normalcy everywhere, we see competition for manpower. We don't want to lose out. That was the setting up of online service of talent service unit. It's a one-stop service. It has attracted a lot of people. And there is a KPI of no less than 35,000 people coming to Hong Kong each year. According to a survey in 2022 in a Swiss institute, we rank 14, a drop by 3 positions. In terms of attractiveness, for the difference of categories, we have dropped in position. For attraction, we have dropped from 15 to 34. Exodus of manpower, we have also dropped from 22 to 35. Manpower increase out of 63 economies, we now rank 56. It's almost at the bottom. It shows that we have a serious exodus of the workforce. We have shortage of manpower. If the situation deteriorates, it doesn't just affect our attraction of enterprises and investment, it also impedes our economic development. To address the issue, there are two simple things to do. First, local manpower training and attracting manpower from outside Hong Kong. We are an open economy. We are very attractive to manpower. There has been a survey saying that the cost of living is one of the highest for expatriates here. Perhaps the government can lower financial burden of expatriates by offering concessionary rates for, say, rent. Perhaps the government can offer housing subsidy or build more cell for youngsters so that the work circle can combine with the living circle. There can be a clustering effect. There can be an environment created to attract manpower. We need to draw reference from the mainland. We make use of bonus and subsidy to attract manpower. We can attract the entire team to come to Hong Kong to enhance our competitiveness. In the past, manpower mainly come from the mainland and the US as well as Europe. Now we need to look at ASEAN countries. The DAB went for a visit in ASEAN countries. A lot of people said that they would like to come to study in our universities, but they can't because of resources or visa difficulties. The government should proactively attract these students to come to Hong Kong by, say, offer scholarships, streamlining application procedures so that they can come to study in our universities or receive training. There is serious mismatch in our labor market. We need high-skilled labor force for our industries, but there is no manpower. The government should look at demand supply of different sectors in Hong Kong. They should make manpower projections and formulate short, medium, long-term development strategies. They should formulate a list of industries with manpower shortage, and they need to consider training local manpower or importation of manpower. Industries can work with tertiary education institutes. When designing their course, they can take into account the actual need of industries. This, in turn, will enhance the employability of youngsters, and we won't rely too much on imported labor. Manpower is a key area. The government should put in place effective measures. They should train local manpower, attract overseas powers, retain power, so that we can attract enterprises and investment. I so submit.
Dr. Low Wai Kwok. Madam Deputy, first of all, I thank Mr. Jimmy Ng for moving this motion and 3 other members for their amendments. Madam Deputy, the 2 sessions came to a close with resounding success in our country, and during the session on learning the spirit of the 2 sessions, participants agreed that this is an important occasion. In the closing speech of President Xi, he said that the building of a strong nation, the long-term prosperity and stability of Hong Kong is indispensable in building a strong nation. That means we have the unique advantage of having the country's support and staying connected with the world. We should give play to our unique advantage. We practice one country, 2 systems. We're close to our country. We benefit from the country's strategies such as the Belt and Road Initiative and the 14th Five-Year Plan to provide the impetus for growth. We're also one of the freest economies in the world. We have a highly efficient and open business environment. We can form a hub to facilitate the flow of people, capital, information, goods. In terms of business, commerce, our legal system, construction, innovation technology, testing and certification, we top the chart in the world, and we have the prerequisite to be the super connector We can build a platform for financing, for high-end professional services, for new industries, for facilitating trade. We have the prerequisites for attracting investment. That means we can break new grounds and help our business sector. We also can achieve win-win by helping mainland enterprises go global. The times are changing. There is now a more fierce competition around the world. We must stay vigilant and be innovative in attracting enterprises and businesses. We must take a more proactive approach in attracting enterprises and talents. Now, within this term of government, the Oasis and a dedicated team for attracting businesses and talents have been set up. And last November, Chief Executive led a business mission to Thailand for a visit. And in February this year, he also led a team to visit UAE and the Middle East. However, there should be better coordination and collaboration among policy bureaus to achieve a greater effect in attracting investments and businesses. In terms of collaboration among the research, academic, government and business sector, and other policies, more should be done. We should also mobilize other public bodies, statutory and community organizations in the planning of attracting investors. Now, the Hong Kong TDC is a statutory body. It was set up in 1966, and since then it has played a pivotal role in promoting trade in Hong Kong, and it has over 50 offices around the world. On the 27th of February, the Hong Kong TDC led a delegation called IRES. Together with the Vice President of the Hong Kong TDC, we led the delegation comprising members of different professions in Hong Kong. We visited Qatar for 4 days under the theme of urban development in Hong Kong. So over 400 participants took part in the forum. It was a very popular occasion. Now, Hong Kong ranked the third in terms of attracting investment. There are also a number of forward-looking infrastructure projects. We should attract top-notch enterprises and top talents to come to Hong Kong so that they can collaborate in projects such as Northern Metropolis. We have an open and external economy. In order to boost economic revival in Hong Kong, we should take a more proactive approach in telling good stories of Hong Kong to the world, so that if we foster more collaboration opportunities, so we can be a step ahead of others. I support the original motion and the amendments. Mr. Yu Pak Lau. Madam Deputy, I thank Mr. Jimmy Ng for moving the motion. In order to better integrate into the country's overall development plan, we should give play to the unique advantage of one country, two systems. Since we have the support of the country and stay connected with the world, we have the position as the 8 centers. We should play our role to attract foreign investors and make contribution to the country's development. In the face of fierce competition around the world and uncertain political landscape around the world, we must have an overhaul of the previous mindset. In order to attract investment, we should be innovative and think out of the box in order to catch up. The IMD earlier published a report that is the talent competitiveness, global talent competitiveness in 2022. In 2021, Hong Kong ranked the 26th. In 2022, we dropped to the 32nd place. Now, as the motion goes, we need to fully implement policies for attracting enterprises and investments. But apart from that, we should roll out preferential and concession policies in terms of land, education, tax, etc., so that we roll out a package to attract talents to settle in Hong Kong. And I fully support this idea. In order to attract overseas talents, apart from offering attractive salaries and living conditions, it is important that they have a good working condition. For example, is the place inclusive? Are people friendly to expatriates? Will they be able to fit in? It is important, therefore, to explain Hong Kong's situation to foreign investors so that they leave a good impression. This is the first step to attracting investment, and this can be the task of the units. Now, I know many friends overseas who are really fond of Hong Kong. They used to be visitors, but then they came to work and settled down. Indeed, we are hospitable. We have good accessibility. We also have a beautiful countryside. We also have good services. We have Michelin restaurants. We also have street food. These are reasons for them to stay in Hong Kong. And the first impression of Hong Kong usually starts with being a visitor to Hong Kong. Now we have a general labor shortage. Even if you go to a Chinese restaurant, you feel that there is a shortage of hands. And for the tourism industry, the situation is even more dire. With increase in arrivals, the industry is under a lot of pressure. According to travel agents and carriers, because of manpower shortage, they're unable to operate more flights. The same applies to hotel rooms. And if this goes on, our international image will be tarnished. We will no longer be hospitable. And this will also affect our strategy in attracting enterprises and investment. So whilst the government should attract investment, the government should also address the issue of labor shortage. I think one condition the talents will consider is whether there is sufficient manpower resources to support their business. Because if there is a shortage, their businesses will be hampered. This will also hinder our economic development. There is a need for the government to actively resolve the manpower shortage across various sectors of the economy. I support the motion and all the amendments. Mr. Chun-keung. Thank you, Madam Deputy. In last year's policy address, the government proposed a series of measures to attract enterprises and investment, in particular the setting up of oases and the dedicated teams for attracting businesses and talents. The government took a proactive approach to offer a one-stop service in order to attract top-notch enterprises to come to Hong Kong. I'm glad to know that the Chief Executive is taking an innovative approach to think out of the box in taking it forward. I thank Mr. Jimmy NG for moving this motion so that we have an opportunity to discuss the relevant policy. This is my concern. Ever since I joined this council, a number of chief executives and the financial secretaries already advocated a similar policy. Now, in Singapore, they also tried to attract more foreign enterprises to set up headquarters in their place. In 2016, tax concessions were offered to encourage mainland and overseas enterprises to set up the Treasury centers in Hong Kong. As the headquarters are usually set up along with the Treasury centers, it has the same effect. However, the government remained passive as it stuck with the old approach. We must improve hardware in order to attract investors. That's the mentality. The government did not consider it necessary to take a proactive approach. But times are changing. It is for the government to be more proactive, just like Singapore. This government in Singapore set up a special unit for attracting enterprises, and they have over a dozen major events. Government officials led delegations to visit different places to attract enterprises, offering different concessionary measures such as tax breaks. They also provide tailor-made one-stop services to enterprises. In recent years, Singapore has managed to snatch away a lot of businesses from Hong Kong. Now that we resume normalcy, we need to consider the challenges facing us. Now, for the fourth consecutive years in terms of international financial center, we ranked the fourth, and we are losing out to Singapore. Now, this is really an alarming bell for us. Well, there were only 8,978 foreign companies in Hong Kong, down by 71 comparing to the previous year. And since 2019, for the first time, the figure dropped to below 9,000. And it's really worrying. Fortunately, this government has been innovative in coming up with new initiatives. For example, the Financial Secretary recently introduced a mechanism for companies to redomicile in Hong Kong. And I can see that there is great resolve from the government, and I fully support the work of the OASIS, that is Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises. But at the moment, OASIS only focuses on 4 industries. I think that this should be revamped. The strategy should cover all sectors. We should follow the Singapore approach. The Invest Hong Kong should be given a bigger role to attract investment so that enterprises with potential can come and invest in Hong Kong. Major events, business fairs should be held every year. I believe this is an important mission for us to stay connected with the world, and we'll be able to serve our country's needs.
Mr. Chen Pui-leung, thank you, Madam Deputy. We have the advantage of one country, two systems. We have a free and open market. We have an independent judiciary system. We have a simple tax regime and top quality infrastructure. These are favorable environments for businesses to grow. In year 2021, we have attracted 104 billion USD. We rank the third only after Mainland China and the US. It shows our important status and position in terms of international trade, and we are still a prime location for businesses to establish a presence. Now, the decision behind talents and businesses depends on the prospects. Our neighbors, including Singapore, have launched very aggressive measures to attract enterprises and talents. In Hong Kong, over the past few years, our economy was hit by the pandemic and also affected by the disruption of the global supply chain and geopolitical tension. In year 2022, the real GDP growth dropped by 3.5%. According to the CNSD, as at November 2022, the total number of foreign companies in Hong Kong stood at 9,871, down 71 compared with last year, and also the first time since year 2019 that the number dropped below 9,000. Foreign companies with Hong Kong as a headquarter was 1,411, a drop of 9% compared with 2019 level. Some companies are planning to cease or withdraw part or the whole of their businesses in Hong Kong. We must more proactively attract and retain enterprises and talents. Last year's policy address mentioned a series of measures to attract enterprises and talents, including the establishment of the OASIS and the talent service units, and also establishing the dedicated teams for attracting business and talents under the ETOs and mainland offices to actively reach out to talents. Now, I believe these measures are definitely critical for providing confidence and growth impetus for different industries. The important thing is how we can show our unique advantages and attractiveness to enterprises and talents. Besides welfare and benefits package, we have to set clear KPIs and step up collaboration between OASIS and the dedicated teams. Say, for example, the one-stop services provided by the OASIS should be targeted so that the dedicated teams will not have to go through different departments for sorting things out. And also, the talent service units must have a clear set of targets to attract enterprises beneficial for our economy. In formulating the list of targeted enterprises, KPIs should be set. Say, for example, in 3 or 5 years' time, a certain number of startups and enterprises from I&T and financial services should be attracted to Hong Kong. And so the dedicated teams can work according to the KPIs. Now, talents and businesses have a very strong interplay between each other. With more enterprises, talents will come to pursue a career in Hong Kong. And when there are talents, enterprises will choose Hong Kong as their base. So we have to ensure due circulation as well as collaboration between the two components. Otherwise, there will be talents but no jobs for them, or there are enterprises but no talents to work for them. Now, we have to make it aware to talents that Hong Kong is a place with boundless opportunities and wealth at time. I so submit and support Mr. Jimmy Ng's motion and the amendments. Thank you. Dr. Tan Yueheng. Thank you, Madam Deputy. I speak in support of Mr. Jimmy Ng's original motion to fully implement policies by attracting enterprises and investments and the amendments moved by the three members. Attracting enterprises, investments, and talents to enhance our competitiveness is the important contents and of the policy address. The series of measures for competing for enterprises and talents are all for enhancing our competitiveness, enhancing our business environment, and enhancing our attractiveness rely on a package of measures, including the coordination and leadership of the government, establishment and maintenance of our platform for attracting enterprises and talents, our taxation and financial system enhancements, and also a business environment which is open, fair, and transparent. Now, I would like to speak on how we can maintain the transparency and the fairness of our system and also enhancing coordination. Now, to avoid fragmented administration and also lack of communication between departments, I suggest establishing an internal centralized communication platform with transparency. Departments, in the efforts to attract enterprises concerning the information of potential enterprises, should be communicated in real time on the centralized platform. The data should be shared among bureaus and departments so that other relevant departments or principal officials can instantly gain access to these information so that they can immediately follow up on and coordinate the information. And also, in the process of attracting enterprises and talents, I suggest tailor-making facilitation measures according to enterprises and talents' needs. There can be policy packages or individual or standalone policy for an industry. This will allow us to more effectively attract enterprises. And there should be dedicated personnel for communicating with the potential enterprises and talents. This will enhance seamless communication between the government and the target enterprises and enhance the efficiency. Third, while attracting strategic enterprises, we can't neglect our existing SMEs. We have to ensure their developments. In Mr. Chun-keung's amendments, he said we have to consolidate resources to preserve living space for the SMEs locally. I think this is also another important aspect. SMEs are the pillar of our economy. They account for 98% of our GDP, and they are very important contributors to our economic development. So while attracting enterprises, we have to dedicate sufficient resources to ensure the development of SMEs. In terms of life and health technology, AI, and so on, we should attract enterprises. True, this is very important for us to enhance our competitiveness and our status. At the same time, I hope the government can allocate a more diversified package of support for SMEs in terms of taxation, transitioning, and also embracing digital technology. There should be more opportunities and living space for the SMEs. I support the original motion and the amendments. Dr. Wendy Hong. Thank you, Madam Deputy. Attracting enterprises and investments has been the secrets behind the rapid growth of the mainland China over the past 40 years. It brought about enhancements in terms of mentality, administration, and also the economy. It is a crucial tool for our country to rise. And all along, we have been adopting a pessimistic approach in attracting enterprises. We have been relying on our traditional strength. The government didn't think out of the box, and there is not a comprehensive support package in terms of land taxation, facilitation measures, and so on to attract enterprises to establish in Hong Kong and drive the growth of strategic industries. As a result, we have missed out on a lot of opportunities. The new term governments proposed the idea of competing for enterprises and talents. The Hong Kong Investment Corporation has been established, and the INT Development Blueprint has been promulgated. This is a good start for attracting enterprises and investments. I have several points to make concerning the future. First, in competing for enterprises, we have to think about the entire supply chain. Now, basically, competition between enterprises is a competition between different components of the supply chain. Different components, every link of the chain would affect the competitiveness of the entire supply chain. Now, the supply chain anchor, that is the leading enterprises, would be leading the midstream and downstream stakeholders. So we have to grasp the heart of the anchorage, and with that we can ensure the survival of the entire supply chain. Now, it is an entire ecosystem. So in terms of attracting enterprises, we have to offer a comprehensive facilitation package for players along the chain. We have to compete for enterprises from the perspective of supply chain. Second, we have to give full play to the Hong Kong Investment Corporation Limited to use government investments for attracting private investment. Now, strategic investment under different funds operated by the government can select strategic enterprises and attract them by the angel fund model and so on. Invest Hong Kong and other government departments should use investments to attract investments, and also through land supply, taxation, human resources policies, and also creation of supply chains to create a comprehensive ecosystem for enterprises to come. Third, we should make use of Section 18C of the listing rules to encourage more investments to come. Now, a week ago, Section 18C has been implemented by the HAEX. A new channel of listing has been opened. And also, compared with the INT board, the threshold for Section 18C companies are much higher, and it also lacks flexibility. As a result, the attractiveness for special technology companies is weakened. So I propose lowering the threshold for Section 18C companies with other conditions. For example, those companies should be required to set up research institutions and engage in real research activities with local researchers. Fourth, land supply. We have to review the development model of the Science and Technology Park and Cyberport. We should align land development with the need of the industry. I think the government is already doing that. Now, we have entered a new phase of development. We need to be strategical in terms of using our advantages to attract enterprises while using existing human resources and capital to diversify our industry. Thank you.
Ms. Priscilla Leung. Madam Deputy, there is this news. China has completed the first renminbi-denominated cross-boundary settlement on liquefied natural gas trading. Last week, I talked about currency freedom here. I think when it comes to natural gas, crude oil, there is an advantage. This is the start year of the spirit of the 20th National Congress. We have the mission under the one country, two systems. We have an advantage. We have advantage on the financial system, the rule of law, as well as a melting pot of the East and the West. John Lee, during his election campaign, I suggested to him an idea similar to Tamazac investment. He later announced a $30 billion co-investment fund. I think this government is willing to listen. If it's a good idea, they will take it on board. We need to work with the government. We have the support of our country. We're connected to the world. We talk about in tandem development with the Mainland. I've spoken to a lot of experts of investors, experts and investors of Belt and Road initiatives. They do want to be on the same team as the Mainland, but they would like to make use of Hong Kong. What should we do? I just came back from Zhaoqing. There are a lot of activities. A number of members took part in their trade missions. They all work together to promote 9+2. Well, back to the question of what we can do. I just came back from Zhaoqing. Mainland has a very strong foundation for life and health science. $6 billion is allocated to universities for life and health science research. Apart from the research and the commercialization, the business sector, well, in Zhaoqing, they have very high quality water resources. People there all enjoy longevity, and they have various tourist attractions. How can we combine investors with research? When there is a profit, how can Hong Kong get a good share? So this is about being on the same team. We make use of overseas investors to invest on the Mainland. I know that about 200 fellows from Taiwan decided to settle in Zhaoqing. To attract foreign investors, you need to get them to like the place. A lot of these foreign investors said that they would like to see more international schools. And on the Mainland, the middle class would like to have more places in international schools in Hong Kong for their children. They don't want to send their children abroad. Hong Kong has a rather liberal environment. if our education sector can do something about it, then overseas talents can come to Hong Kong, mainland talents can come to Hong Kong. They all tell good stories of Hong Kong. We have a bright future. Well, I hope the government will do more. Mr. Lai Tong Kwok, I thank Mr. Jimmy Ng for moving the motion. Everyone's attracting enterprises and investment. At the end of last year, the Chief Executive announced a number of measures to attract enterprises, investment, and manpower. Most of them have been put in place. I'm glad to have this opportunity to hear from different members about how to attract enterprises and investment. The original motion is about attracting enterprises and investment, but the amendments also talk about attracting manpower. This is very important to our industries. I would like to focus on attracting manpower. We have various immigration schemes. We have the Quality Migrant Scheme. We have a Technology Talent Admission Scheme. We have a Mission Scheme for Mainland Talent and Professional General Employment Policy. Immigration arrangement for non-local graduates, as well as the Top Talent Pass Scheme. They all have different objectives. It covers talents of technology, those graduate from top 100 universities, different professions, overseas manpower, mainland manpower from the mainland, second generation of Hong Kong immigrants, non-Hong Kong residents. If I'm a talent and I'm attracted by the Hong Kong story and I would like to come to Hong Kong to look for opportunities, then I will wonder which one is good for me. I noticed that there is an online service of the talents service units. There is a matching tool available. You answer some questions and you'll be recommended the best scheme. This is very good. It should be put in a more conspicuous place on the website. And there should be a hyperlink in the website as well. I do think that all these different immigration admission schemes may be overlapping in some areas. I asked the administration to take stock of these schemes to make it easier for applicants to understand. When these talents have arrived in Hong Kong, they should be given supporting service. And this increased the chance to settle here. The Chief Executive said in the policy address that there will be one-stop support given to talents who come to Hong Kong. But what is it? I find some clues somewhere. First, on the website of the Talent Service Unit, on support service window, there is no detail. We're asked to wait, but at least. It tells them about support on education, visa application, etc. Last week, in the Establishment Subcommittee, the Labour and Welfare Bureau said that they asked for creation of 4 supernumerary posts of limited time. There is the director of the Talent Service Unit. In the description of duties, it says that there should be support service to these talents to enable them to settle. A lot of people who come to Hong Kong find it difficult to find accommodation and schools. I'm glad to hear that there will be tailor-made service. This will enhance our allure. I think the administration should consider assistance service to find foreign domestic helpers, to help them find foreign domestic helpers in Hong Kong. I hope that the details will be announced soon. I don't want to see the window with words coming soon waiting for me. Mr. Shiu Ka-fai. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Jimmy Ng for moving the motion on fully implementing policies for attracting enterprises and investment. Our priority is to develop our economy. See, the Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development have been flying everywhere to try to attract enterprises and investment. We now have the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises, and we also have the Advisory Committee on Attracting Strategic Enterprises. The Liberal Party, of course, strongly support that. How do we do it? Well, if there are policies to help people to come to Hong Kong to do business, I'm sure they will come. In terms of education, if school places can be secured for children of employees of these enterprises, that would be good. We have common law. We are aligned with the rest of the world. These are advantages. We also need to integrate better into the Greater Bay Area. We've experienced the epidemic over 3 years, and now we see the opening of the boundary. Businesses have picked up. But a lot of people told me that they have recruitment difficulties. The retail shops that have closed said that they can't fill the vacancies. And there are cases when there's only one person working on a floor space of 1,000 square foot. And I was told about a theft rate of 37%. So I want that shop. There's only one person. And they told me that they can't hire extra hands. And if they have to go to the toilet, then they'll have to close the shop. This morning, we had some issues discussed. It seems that from Mr. Kingsley, what Mr. Kingsley Wong said, it seems that they are going to have a green light for importation of labor. But his question for this morning is that the labor participation rate is 58.1% in Hong Kong. That means if you're above the age of 15, 51.1% of the people work. And what Mr. Kingsley Wong meant was that compared to the 4 Asian tigers were low, because in Korea it's 62.6%, in Taiwan is 59.17%, about a 1% percentage point higher. Singapore and Macau is about 10% higher, and in Singapore is about 11% higher. So what does that have to do with importation of labor? What Mr. Wong meant was that we don't have sufficient labor force, so we do need to find ways to ask the working population to join the workforce. Compared to Korea and Taiwan, there is a difference of 1% or 4%, but it's a different figure in relation to female labor force participation rate. Let me show you a comparison. Well, for Hong Kong is 52.8%, and that for Taiwan is lower. And for South Korea is lower by about 0.5%. That means that there are quite a number of women working, but the overall percentage is lower. Well, because we have the longest life expectancy here. We have 19.6% people over the age of 65. For Korea, it's 15%. That explains the difference of 4%. For Taiwan, is a difference of 2%. That's also the same reason. The focus is on Singapore and Macau. I said that he wanted to import labor. For Singapore, they have 760,000 imported labor. That's why they have a 70% of participation rate. We have 58.1% because we don't have importation of labor. We have 5,200 imported labor, and that was in 2021. Over 400,000 people, about 150,000 imported labor. There is acute manpower shortage in a lot of trades. Well, we will suffer if we don't do something.
Mr. Paul Chair, Madam Deputy, members have spoken on government policies and attracting investment, but I'd like to focus on this word, confidence. We listen to the do's, but we should listen to the don'ts as well. We should not do any harm. We should attract foreign investors, not just mainland investors. Now, for foreign investors, they are concerned, just as the recent failure of Credit Suisse. Because of the failure, the only 40% of the assets remain, and the AT1 bonds turn out to be nothing at all. Now, it's really astonishing. Credit Suisse enjoyed such a good reputation, but all of a sudden, because of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, there were sanctions against Russian assets. Now, of course, we don't want something like this to happen in Hong Kong, but in recent years, we have had turmoils, politically, natural disasters, the pandemic, and foreign investors now have a question mark over their head. Now, recently, a very experienced investor, Lomon Wright, who specializes in investments in Hong Kong and the mainland as well, wrote an article. And this is in the same vein as what Financial Secretary said earlier in the summit. He talked about our linked exchange rate system, our rule of law, our flow of capital, and everything works well in Hong Kong. Now, these constitute the theme of our system, because people often worry about these things. Now, at the Global Financial Leaders Summit, the chief executive talked about the advantage of Hong Kong as a global city. Again, somebody talks about the issue of confidence. In other words, there should not be a major change in the system or in the institution, because this will undermine foreign investors' confidence in Hong Kong. So that's what I want to talk about. No matter the offices you set up to attract investment, if people don't have confidence in you, just like Credit Suisse, you will fail. Now, we often talk about volatility. In the business world, we want things to be predictable, reliable, certain, and we want businesses to be profitable. All in all, we don't want major changes. Of course, I fully support the implementation of the national security law in Hong Kong. But if we are to attract businesses, if we don't want to turn them away, we should pay attention to the following. Now, day in, day out, we read about media coverage of these cases concerning the national security violations, and it seems that there is too much focus on national security. Of course, this is important, but you need to strike a balance if you want to attract businesses. Mr. Ma Yun recently returned to Hangzhou, and the shares rose by 15%. It might have risen more today, I don't know, but the most important thing is that we need indicators to give people confidence. We have the country's support, but then we need to translate words into action. So this is for the government officials. You must bear in mind this very important keyword, confidence. Instead of taking a hardline approach, you need to bear in mind this word. Otherwise, even if you set up offices to attract businesses, we could become Credit Suisse in the future. Does any other member wish to speak? If not, Mr. Jimmy NG, you may now speak on the amendments. Thank you, Mr. President. I first of all thank the 3 members for their amendments and other members who have spoken on the debate. You have offered invaluable insights from various perspectives. This is eye-opening. I hope that we can become an important driving force so that the government can make speedy efforts in attracting enterprises and investment. Let me speak on the amendments. Mr. Edmund Wong's amendment provides that as Hong Kong has entered the new phase of advancing from stability and prosperity, and I fully agree, it is the country's policy that we should ensure that there is long-term prosperity and stability in Hong Kong, and that Hong Kong should continue to give play to its unique advantage as an international financial center to attract enterprises and investment to drive high-quality development. Now, Mr. Wong's amendment also refers to coordination among policy bureaus and departments, and I fully agree as well. Mr. Shang Hailong talks about policies relating to I&T, especially he relates to talent development, nurturing and retaining talents in the 4 directions of selection, retention, cultivation, and deployment. Apart from attracting investment, we should attract talents as well. There is a common protocol adopted by different countries. That is, they have a scoring system for attracting immigrants. We should set up a similar system in Hong Kong so that we have high transparency in the system and address the unnecessary disputes. For example, the Top Talent Pass scheme was just rolled out, and we hope that the government can make improvements to avoid some disputes over extreme cases. There should also be a talent list for different sectors of the economy. Now, I will now turn to Mr. Lee's amendment. He said that the government should take into account supporting the development of local micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises and preserve room for their survival. I agree with this as well. This supplements my original motion. For example, we need to provide facilitation measures such as land tax, financing, education. This can benefit not only startups but also SMEs and micro enterprises, and all in all, the whole society can benefit from these policies so as to provide impetus for growth and long-term competitiveness for Hong Kong's industries. Undersecretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs, please switch on the mic. Mr. President, I thank Mr. Jimmy NG for moving this motion, and Mr. Chun-keung, Mr. Edmund Wong, and Mr. Shang Hailong for their amendments. I also thank members for their invaluable inputs and insight. The Hong Kong SAR government has all along attached importance to the work of Greater Bay Area development. With the country's strong support over the past few years, we have rolled out a number of policy measures in different areas. On the one hand, we support the development of Hong Kong residents and enterprises in cities in the Greater Bay Area. On the other hand, we also play the dual role of giving or going global and attracting foreign investment by supporting mainland cities in the Greater Bay Area to tap international markets. To give play to our unique advantage of having the country's support and staying connected with the world and provide impetus for growth, the Steering Group on Integration International Development has been set up, chaired personally by the Chief Executive, with the 3 department secretaries supporting him, so that using the 1+3 strategy, we can provide the greater steer from a strategic and macro perspective at a higher level to coordinate and support the SAR's integration into the overall development of the country and actively dovetail with national strategies such as the 14th Five-Year Plan, Greater Bay Area Development and Belt and Road Initiative. In terms of high-quality development of the Greater Bay Area, the Steering Group will devise work plans and the core priorities to facilitate the flow of people, goods, capital, and information in the Greater Bay Area. Mr. Chun-keung refers to the good division of work among the Greater Bay Area cities. We will continue to liaise with the relevant ministries and provincial Macau SAR governments so that we continue to break new grounds. In terms of policy formulation, a mutual access platform will be set up for mainland cities in the Greater Bay Area to have synergized development for mutual benefit so that we build a world-class Bay Area for people to work and live in. Now, to further enhance publicity in the Greater Bay Area cities and support for Hong Kong people and enterprises in the Greater Bay Area, the Guangdong ETO of the Hong Kong SL government will set up the Greater Bay Area Development Promotion Center. There will be a stronger collaboration with the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, Invest Hong Kong, and also other organizations and bodies both in the mainland and overseas. They will provide GBA-related information and inquiry services. They will organize seminars and study missions to Hong Kong people and enterprises in the mainland cities and promote opportunities brought about by the Greater Bay Area and provide appropriate assistance to them to provide a greater room for development. Mr. President, once again, I thank members for their invaluable views. Looking ahead, the Hong Kong SL government will continue to leverage on this institutional advantage of one country, two systems. We have a high degree of a rule of law. We are highly marketized and globalized so that we can give play to our advantages to serve national needs and draw up more measures that can benefit both Hong Kong and the country and the Greater Bay Area so that we can attract more talents and enterprises in the mainland and overseas to join hands in the development of the Greater Bay Area and make a greater contribution to Hong Kong and our country.
Under Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. President, I thank Mr. Jimmy Ng for moving the motion so that we have a chance to listen to members' views on this major issue. And I take this opportunity to give you a report on our policies in relation to financial services and attraction of enterprises and investment. Fintech is one of the key development area of the government. With the work of the government, regulators, and the sector, we now have over 800 fintech enterprises in Hong Kong covering mobile payment, cross-boundary transfer, smart financial consultant, wealth management, blockchain, virtual asset trading services, etc. The ecosystem is very mature and diversified. We use various measures including promotion, subsidy, manpower, and other support to attract fintech companies to come to Hong Kong. The dedicated fintech team of Invest Hong Kong provides a one-stop service to enterprises interested in domiciling in Hong Kong. For example, advisory service on setting up businesses here. All these different measures, including the FinTech Proof of Concept Subsidy Scheme, pilot scheme on training subsidy for FinTech practitioners, qualification framework for FinTech, and the planned FinTech internship scheme for post-secondary students are there to provide manpower and funding support to FinTech companies in Hong Kong. We issue the policy statement on development of virtual assets in Hong Kong in October last year. It was warmly received by the trade. A number of mainland and overseas virtual asset companies expressed an interest to come here. Well, the virtual asset service provider licensing scheme will begin operation in June this year. We will endeavor to create a favorable environment, reduce real and potential risk according to international standard, and introduce regulation. As the Financial Secretary said in his budget speech in February, he will lead a task force on virtual asset development to take stock of the current situation, development opportunities, need for regulation and ecosystem, as well as to make recommendations on the sustainable and responsible development of the sector. Under the unique advantage of one country, two systems, Hong Kong enjoys a good business environment and regulatory regime aligned with the world. The Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises provides supporting one-stop service. Coupled with the measures outlined above, we are confident that we can attract fintech companies with great potential to come to Hong Kong. To facilitate overseas capital and companies to come to Hong Kong in 2021, we have set up a simple fund redomiciliation mechanism for open-ended fund company and limited partnership fund for easy registration and operation. Continuity can be maintained when a fund redomiciles. This means that the status of the fund's legal entity, contract signed, property rights, privileges, obligations all stay the same. To seize market opportunities, we will introduce a company redomiciliation mechanism to facilitate companies domiciled overseas to incorporate in Hong Kong, especially for companies of which the core business is in Asia Pacific. They can make good use of our excellent business environment and professional services. In March this year, we started consultation with major stakeholders, including chambers of commerce, professional bodies, and statutory advisory bodies. Having considered views received, we will start on the legislative details. The aim is to introduce the proposal in 2023-24. Well, to facilitate advanced high-tech companies in Hong Kong that have yet to establish a sizable establishment, we have introduced a concessionary measure. Under this measure, it covers 5 areas: advanced hardware, software, information, new energy conservation, and agricultural services. Just now, Mr. Jimmy NG and others asked about tax concessions. In fact, the government has implemented tax measures to dovetail with the development of different industries. Starting from the 1st of April 2018, a 2-tier system was introduced to profits tax to lighten the financial burden of enterprises. In the 2020 and 21 assessment year, around 93,000 companies have benefited. Tax saved amounted to $5.7 billion. In addition, to promote diversified industry development and to enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness, we have used tax measures strategically in different areas. For example, we have offered a maximum 300% tax deduction for qualified research and development expenditure. Tax concessions for carried interest of a private equity fund, the insurance sector, and the shipping sector. These help to consolidate Hong Kong's position as an international financial, commercial, and logistics center. In this year's budget, a number of tax concessions have been announced. These include tax concession on patent box, that is, a tax allowance on profits generated in Hong Kong from eligible patent arising from research and development activities. I thank members for their valuable input. I so submit. Thank you.
Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry. Mr. President, I thank Mr. Jimmy NG for moving this motion and members for their views. I will give a consolidated response on attracting I&T enterprises. Enhancing the I&T ecosystem and promoting the new industrialization in Hong Kong is one of the 4 development directions laid down in the Hong Kong Innovation Technology Development Blueprint. Industrial support is essential in completing the IT ecosystem. The ITI Bureau will collaborate closely with the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises by leveraging on Hong Kong's advantage of being an international city. We'll establish a vibrant I&T ecosystem through attracting I&T enterprises with high potential and representativeness from around the world to set up their presence and expand their business in Hong Kong. We'll focus on promoting the development of technology industries with an edge and are of strategic importance in Hong Kong. In selecting the industries, we consider the following. 1. Those who yield high value-added returns by application of advanced technologies, leverage the advantages of Hong Kong, and have the market potential to enable Hong Kong to assume a leading position in Asia and even in the world. 2. Help drive the growth of GDP. 3. Facilitate the creation of quality employment opportunities to pull mainland and overseas technology talent. 4. Dovetail with the 14th Five-Year Plan to integrate into the overall development of the country and serve national needs. On the basis of the above consideration, we have proposed in the blueprint taking forward the development of strategic industries such as life and health technology, AI and data science, advanced manufacturing, and new energy technologies. We are proactively following up on the top-notch enterprises in these industries, together with Oasis, through the support from the Strategic Tech Fund and land from IT users from the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park in Lok Ma Chau Loop. And we will also continue to collaborate with the mainland counterparts through the established mechanism to explore cross-boundary facilitation measures for the flow of people, goods, capital, and information, so as to promote the synergized development of I&T in Hong Kong and Shenzhen. We will support enterprises with potential and our representatives of the industries to set up or expand advanced manufacturing production lines. The target is to increase the smart production lines by fourfold, from around 30 to over 130. In the end of last year, we launched a thematic website called Setting Up I&T Business in Hong Kong so that enterprises can contact us directly. We've also prepared a fact sheet which highlights our industrial promotion policies, subsidy schemes, and favorable business environment to promote new opportunities for the development of I&T in Hong Kong. Some members ask what top-notch enterprises mean. For I&T, strategic enterprises means those with a leading, having a leading position or having a lot of influence. They can lead the industrial development in the relevant areas, such as having patent of the core technologies, having authority in setting international standards, or having vast experience in the commercialization of R&D result. We consider, together with Oasis, the contribution these enterprises can bring to the I&T development in Hong Kong and the economy in general, and we provide the necessary support for them to set up a presence in Hong Kong. Members are concerned about our progress in attracting businesses and investments. We are sparing no effort. At the moment, there are a lot of enterprises which will set up the presence or expand the business in Hong Kong, and we are in the process of negotiating with other enterprises and industries, and we will make due announcements to the public when time is ripe. Talent is crucial to the development of I&T. The government has been taking a multi-pronged approach in expanding our I&T talent pool, and we will continue to leverage on different schemes such as TESS, a Technology Talent Admission Scheme, Global STEM Professorship Scheme, and Inno Hong Kong clusters to attract overseas and mainland I&T talents. We need a joint effort in cooperation from different stakeholders in the community to foster the development of I&T. We will fully leverage on the various investment and financing channels and will closely collaborate with stakeholders. We will hold roadshows, interviews, and visits so as to reach out to more I&T enterprises. Now, Mr. Jimmy NG just now referred to retaining enterprises in Hong Kong and attracting foreign capital. I fully agree with him. We will continue to do our best to attract enterprises and investment for the I&T sector. I so submit.
Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, I thank members for the concern and support for the government's work in attracting enterprises and investments. Invaluable views were given. The relevant directors of bureaus have responded to matters under the policy portfolios and in relation to strategic enterprises. I am now going to elaborate on other developments in relation to attracting enterprises and investments. First, our overall policy on attracting enterprises and investments. I thank members for supporting the new mechanism for that purpose proposed by the Chief Executive in his policy address last October. The government has adopted a new mentality to proactively plan and reach out to compete for enterprises. This marks a new beginning. We will continue to fine-tune our strategies in the process in order to bring in more enterprises and investment. Some members wrote on Mr. Edmund Wong's amendment and offered views on coordinating our work on attracting enterprises and investments. President, the new institutional framework for attracting enterprises and investments proposed by the Chief Executive in the policy address features the Oasis, which is led by the Financial Secretary for directing and coordinating all policy bureaus and departments in the bid to attract enterprises and investments. So far, the policy bureaus and the Oasis have met with over 100 enterprises, many of which being industry leaders in possession of state-of-the-art technologies. On the other hand, Invest Hong Kong has been working closely with the relevant policy bureaus and departments. It dovetails with the policies of various bureaus. For example, supporting the financial services and the Treasury bureaus' work on attracting family offices by successfully organizing the Wealth for Good in Hong Kong Summit. Invest Hong Kong also collaborates with other departments in offering one-stop supporting services for overseas and mainland enterprises. The achievements of Invest Hong Kong in this regard are evident. Some members suggested that we should set KPIs. Now, the work of Invest Hong Kong has always come with KPIs. It was mentioned in the policy address that the government will step up its work in attracting enterprises and investment with a view to attracting at least 1,130 enterprises to establish a presence or expand their business in Hong Kong. I'm pleased to report that with the efforts of our colleagues, the number of projects completed by Invest Hong Kong in the first 2 months of the year has risen significantly year on year. We have noticed that more potential investors overseas and on the mainland have shown interest in setting up shop or expanding their business in Hong Kong. With the easing of the pandemic, we will continue to implement the KPIs set in the policy address for the next 3 years. Besides quantity, we attach equal importance on quality. Now, besides fostering investments, we also attach equal importance to the new mentalities and technologies brought into Hong Kong by these enterprises. These will become new impetus of growth for our economy, and it will diversify our economy. Now, besides attracting enterprises, Mr. Chun-keung said the government should also support SMEs. We agree with that. We have been offering a series of support measures to facilitate SMEs development, including various funding schemes, including the BUD Fund under the Commerce and Economic Development Bureau for helping businesses to tap a more diversified market and enhancing SMEs' competitiveness. The Hong Kong Productivity Council formed the SME Reach Out in 2020 and launched the Biz Expense Easy one-stop platform to facilitate SMEs' application for these fundings. Besides, under the SME Loan Guarantee Scheme, which helps SMEs to obtain financial facilities, over $240 billion in loan has been granted to SMEs over the years. To further enhance support for SMEs, the Financial Secretary announced a $500 million injection into the BUD fund in the 2023-24 budget and launched the BUD Easy to expedite the processing of applications under $100,000 so as to help SMEs to take forward the projects swiftly and seize the post-epidemic opportunities. Also, we have earmarked $100 million for enhancing the services of the SME Reach Out over the next 5 years to facilitate SMEs' application for government funding and enhancing their capacities. The Financial Secretary has also announced that the application period for all items under the SME Loan Guarantee Scheme will be extended from the end of June 2023 to the end of March 2024, allowing more time for SMEs to adjust their business model and rally themselves. President, under one country, two systems, Hong Kong enjoys the unique advantage of the backing of the country and being connected with the world. We are a bridge through which international enterprises can gain access to the mainland market and also a springboard for mainland enterprises to go global. We will seize the endless opportunities under the National 14th Five-Year Plan, GBA developments, and the Belt and Road Initiative. We will integrate into the nation's development, strive for accession to the RCEP, tell good stories about Hong Kong and the country, enhance our status in international trade, and promote high-quality development of our economy. President, since the inauguration of this term of the government, concrete steps were taken to boost the confidence of overseas and mainland enterprises in Hong Kong's business environment. We have been promoting Hong Kong's advantages to the overseas business sector and investors and telling them good stories of Hong Kong. We are conveying the message that we have returned to the international scene. Over the past few months, international events were successfully held in Hong Kong. They are a testament to our rapid recovery, which will boost confidence in business and attract more business to Hong Kong. Riding on the strong trend of recovery, the CEDB and the relevant bureau, including the Innovation Technology Industry Bureau, and other bureaus, Invest Hong Kong and the Oasis will actively canvass members' views and work closely with members to further our work on attracting enterprises and investments and enhance our status as an international financial and commercial center. Thank you. I so submit.
I now call upon Mr. Edmund Wong to move an amendment. Mr. President, I move my amendment. I propose a question to you that Mr. Edmund Wong's amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise your hands? Those against, please raise your hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of the two groups of members who are present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Chang Hailong, as Mr. Edmund Wong's amendment has been passed, you may move your further amendment. Mr. President, I move my further amendment. I propose a question to you that Mr. Chang Hailong's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Chun-keung, as the amendments of Mr. Edmund Wong and Mr. Chang Hailong have been passed, you may move your further amendment. Mr. President, I move my further amendment. I propose a question to you that Mr. Chun-keung's further amendment be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise your hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the amendment passed. Mr. Jimmy NG, you still have 36 seconds to reply. Then the debate will come to a close. Mr. Jimmy NG. Mr. President, I once again thank the three members for their amendments and members for their views. I also thank the responses from a number of policy bureaus. We're building a good atmosphere. I believe that there will be a better future for Hong Kong and Hong Kong's economy. I urge members to support my motion. When I put the question to you, that is that Mr. Jimmy NG's motion as amended by Mr. Edmund Wong, Mr. Chang Hailong, and Mr. Chun-keung be passed. Will those in favor please raise their hands? Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by the majority of each of the two groups of members present. I declare the motion as amended passed. Motion to take note of a report of the House Committee on consideration of